All right, what up, everybody? Last time we left off, we were in the city of Nightstone. Night had fallen, and the adventurers, the party, had kind of settled in and were helping the city people rebuild Nightstone from the wreckage of the giant attack. A couple days have passed, and it fell on the parties to watch for the night, watch the city from any kind of invasion. And throughout that watch, they were attacked by a horde of orcs. As the orcs charged in, the rain began to fall. The smell of burning wood in the rain, as screams and clatter of steel can be heard throughout Nightstone's city. Folk run through the streets in chaos. You see them getting picked off by orcs. You see Octavius, Sunny, and Livy holding down the main door, the main drawbridge. And as we look over, kind of panning across to the courtyard, Warrendell hunkered in behind a farming house and is occasionally popping out. As he looks to his side, there's about 10 orcs that are engaged on Morak, Uragray, and Winston. And the two dwarves are fighting these orcs off as hard as they can, but it's a losing fight, and Morak goes down. It's roughly at that time that Warrendell charges in and tries to take the cleric orc named Garash one-on-one. Spells fly as they lock into a grapple. It was going well. The fight was almost won, but as Warren looks this orc in the eyes, a cruel smile creeps over his face, and he hits Warrendell hard, and his vision goes blurry. He tries to defend himself, and then he hits him again, a surge of energy. Things fall black for Warren, cold, dark, as you hear the sounds of battle fade into nothingness. I'll throw it to Warren to describe what happens from there.
Suppose I should unmute myself. So, Octavius, as you cast your spell, holding me from the brink of death, as you kind of take this pain unto yourself, perhaps, you can see Warren's eyes flicker open very slightly. The rain's still coming down. He'll kind of shove you off of him with what little bit of energy he has. He kind of pushes against you, trying to tell you to get off of him. His face is covered in blood. It comes out of his nose, his ears, his mouth, this huge gash on his chest that's been opened up, a wound in his shoulder from this spiritual weapon this thing was attacking him with. As soon as you're able to kind of get out of his way, Octavius, Warren will kind of put his feet underneath him, his legs a little bit, and pull himself up. You can see he looks around. He sees these elves that are there. His eyes look at you, Livy, for a moment, and his fuzzy little crotch-kicking friend. But they take more notice of this orc in the distance, just a few feet away. And he half stumbles, half crawls his way over to Garash, this one-eyed cleric of Grumsh or whatever he is. You can see he crawls over there, and he just puts his hands down just on the chest of this creature. His eyes kind of roll back a little bit. The wind and the rain just pours down around you guys. It's almost like this storm is just becoming a part of him, becoming life itself. And you can see electricity flow through his body and then into this orc. And I'm just going to blow this orc. I know it's already dead, but he just wants to get all of his anger out. So I'll use my last, I'll just say my chromatic orb. I can put that as lightning and just completely obliterate this orc into pieces before he just collapses on the ground.
Absolutely. And then as you do that, you fall unconscious once more. And as you lay to the ground, I imagine Octavius is actually the one that kind of runs over to you and tries to bring you to consciousness, but it's no use. You're silent. As he checks your pulse, it's just barely there. Enoch, the elven girl who has healing capability, comes over to you, and she kind of rubs her hands together, and you see this light energy kind of emanating from her hands, and this glowing kind of palm rests on your chest, and you see it kind of surge momentarily. The light fills your body for a moment and then fades to black again. She kind of looks confused. She rubs her hands together again and she tries, but it's no use. Rond, the leader and father of Enoch, kind of says to the group that your friend is clearly in a very dangerous spot. And it's at that moment that where we left off last session, him and Aaron kind of meet up, and Aaron or Rin tells you, Livy, that you guys are finally going to go on this hunting trip that he's talked about so many times. He's went to Nightstone ever since you can remember being a little girl. He would always go on these trips to Nightstone to hunt. And he said one day when you're old enough, he'd bring you. Today is finally the day. Ron looks at Warren on the ground, motions. Wait, did Octavius say he was picking him up? I feel like Octavius would kind of pick him up. So I'm going to say that.
I would definitely pick him up.
And then he says to the group that if you want to ever see your friend again, we must be quick. He does not have much time. He's fading fast.
I could see Octavius in excruciating pain, still holding Warren and rushing behind the elves.
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks like Warren, even though just receiving, or not Warren, Octavius just receiving healing and whatnot from Enoch, he looks pretty rough. But anyways, we'll kind of cut forward. And now we find ourselves in the Ardeep Forest. You're with about, I think I said 12, 13 elves, including Enoch and Rond. You're walking through this forest, and the rain is still kind of getting through the foliage, still hitting you guys in the face. The ground is mucky. You can smell just the wet earth. There's a cold breeze. The elves are kind of putting on a pretty daunting pace for what you guys just went through. You just fought like pretty much an army of orcs. And it's clear that these elves are experts of their terrain. They don't seem to be slowing at all. As you guys kind of dwindle behind, Rond would again urge you guys to hurry up. Rin Corner would kind of walk up beside you, Livy, and he's smiling like he has no care in the world. And he looks to you and says, "Well, are you excited, Livy, to finally go on this hunt?"
And she's kind of walking there, and the exhaustion of a big fight kind of evident on her face, but she'll put a smile on, just like, "Oh, of course. It seems peculiar time to, I guess, nothing like the moment, or I suppose."
"No time like the peculiar," he says and smiles. "Don't worry about your friend. I know he'll be all right."
Yeah, obviously.
And then you guys kind of walk on, and I'm gonna actually throw it to. Who do I want to throw it to? I'm gonna give it to you, Mary. Actually, describe something impressive and unique in this forest that you guys are walking through. Obviously, keep it forest related, but something scenic that catches your eye in this wet, rainy forest in the middle of the night.
Okay. Yeah. It's coming. I'm gonna say the peculiar thing is, yeah, it's raining and such, and you could hear the rain just falling down, hitting kind of the sound of how it pitter patters on the leaves and whatnot, and just kind of spilling around. But I'd say within, I don't know, like 5-10 minutes into the walk or whatnot, like everyone's wet from the fight and such, and everyone's tired, but it would kind of dawn on them at a point that the canopy above, like the leaves are cascading the water like off the path, like as they stay on, they'll notice that it's just kind of falling just to the side of them, and they can like look behind them, look in front of them, and that's like this path for whatever reason just they can stay dry, because obviously travelers come in here at all peculiar times of the year, and so if they want to keep dry, they just need to stay.
Cool. So yeah, there's the way the leaves kind of make this canopy. You guys actually find this dry patch to walk down, and it seems like a probably pretty traversed area of the elves. But as you carry on, the green, lush forest slowly starts to turn to a gray, almost black, barren swamplands. The trees lose their leaves and are just withered. The ground itself almost looks sickened. The once kind of flowing river that was flowing quite rigorously through this rainstorm actually completely stops and becomes stagnant. The Ardite forest suddenly turns into this wasteland.
I would have to ask one of the elves what's going on.
Rond would step up and say that the orcs, they poisoned this land. We don't know with what, but it traveled quickly, and it's traveling even further. Strange things have been happening. We've been enemies with the orcs for centuries, but they've never went as far as to destroy our homelands. Something is not right. That's why we're so aggressive in the dealings with them. We can't take any more chances if we want to save the forest. Another elf kind of steps up and he's like, there's no saving the forest now. It's too late, Rond, and you know it. And he kind of hangs his head and walks and sneers actually at Aaron, who doesn't seem to be paying any attention to it. You continue on, and walking through this swampland, you see a figure kind of still in the night, just a shadow of it, just standing basically on this, what would have been a nice grove of like this hill and beautiful trees is now just this barren wasteland, and there's a figure just standing on it and not moving. As you guys approach, the figure doesn't move. It's drawing a bow and pointing it directly at you.
Grandpa, what exactly are we hunting?
You know, whatever we find, really. It's not so much about the hunt as it is the actual journey itself. And he smiles, and he's just like, I have somebody I want you to meet, Livy. You know, I'm sure that you have realized that you're not quite like the other boys and girls growing up. You had these powers, abilities, and they've been growing stronger as you age, correct?
And she's like, what's the digitation?
Well, there's a reason for that, and I'm very excited for you to finally find out why. And I'm very excited to see what these powers will grow into and who you will grow into. I know it's going to be someone who's quite extraordinary.
Okay.
Go ahead, sorry.
And she's just like, the person's here?
Oh yeah, soon, Livy. Don't worry, just enjoy the walk
like
for now.
Just like checking around her too, like kind of like looking back at the party and whatnot, just like, okay.
The figure pointing the bow does not move even an inch, and as you guys finally get upon it, it's an elf standing there. But as you look upon this elf, horror is stricken in his eyes, and his skin is that of gray. As you get closer, right upon him, you realize that this elf is petrified, solid stone.
Octavius again would ask, what has happened here?
The elves, Rond again, would speak up and say that it's the orc's poison. When it gets into the bloodstream, it starts to work fast.
How in the world would orcs have done all of this?
That's what we don't know. That's what's troubling. There's something else going on here. Some other entity. But we'll never get it from the orcs. We've captured them, we've interrogated them, and they say nothing, but a reckoning is coming for our deep forest. And it is time for the elves to be gone, and time for the orcs and the orc kin to rule. With that, as you continue, you start to see, you kind of come upon this opening in the forest, and what you see is this, what looks like remnants of a battlefield. And there's elves and orcs strewn across the field, some just killed in cold blood, and others petrified, just like the one before you, kind of standing there in the night, in the rain, just frozen for what you can only assume to be eternity. So that point, when you continue on, Warren being cradled in Octavios's arms, the cold, the darkness suddenly turns to warmth, Warren. It's almost as if every color in the universe hits you at once. It's incomprehensible at first. You can't even see. It's just like this flash of colors. And then suddenly a forest starts to form before you. You're not being carried. You're standing. You look around and your friends are nowhere to be seen.
Warren will look around. You know, he doesn't say anything, doesn't really call out or do anything. Just kind of puts his arms out, feels the wind around him, tries to get a sense of if he's really awake.
Give me an insight check, and after that, I'm going to tell you something pretty pertinent anyways.
Okay.
No matter what you roll.
Oh, I'm not very good at insight. Well, that's all right. 4.
So yeah, you don't know if it's a dream, but something that strikes you as incredibly strange is it's raining, but the raindrops aren't moving. They're frozen in space or frozen in the air. Thousands of them as you look around. And as you kind of touch one, it just basically bubbles off and kind of floats through and ricochets off a couple of them. You look around and the forest is just the most beautiful, lush thing you've ever seen. You kind of look to your right and down, you see this stream running, and it's just glittering beautifully. It draws your attention to it, and as you kind of drop and realize that you're quite thirsty, you put your hands in the water to take a drink, and as you reach in, you pull out gemstones.
He'll kind of stare at this water for a few moments, letting these stones kind of trickle through his hands, maybe picking it up a few times. Looks around, and he knows, or I guess he gets the feeling of an old friend of his. You know, he remembers stealing a few gems back in his day. And he'll have a nervous glance up towards the sky, kind of perks his ears a little bit, just listening. Goes back and properly leaves the gems where they are for the moment, figuring he's probably taken advantage of a few too many people. He didn't need these ones.
Absolutely. You hear some
Look around.
little laughter behind you.
You stand up, not turning around towards the laughter or anything. Just kind of stand up. What do you want?
Just another kind of, it almost sounds like the best way to do it, because I can't do that high pitch, is like a pixie's laugh or something.
Beautiful. He'll chuckle to himself a little. All right. I'll play. He'll kind of turn around, kind of look around, see if he can see where this came from or get a
Give me a
idea.
perception. All you see as you turn around is just some mushrooms in front of you. You don't remember if those mushrooms were there before, and as you look at them, they're kind of like pointy almost, like they're round around the rim, but they kind of point up almost like a wizard's hat. And as you're looking around, you're like, I don't remember seeing those there before. And they kind of have these spots on them that seem to glow blue. And as you're looking at it, one of the mushrooms suddenly pops up and then scurries away. And then the laugh again.
He'll smile a little. Walk over, bend down towards these mushrooms. Take a look at them.
As you look underneath, you see a little face and some arms on the mushroom. And the mushroom itself has like this kind of, actually a pretty disturbing looking, like almost like a maw, spiky teeth and whatnot. And as you kind of look, it waves one of its hands and kind of gives you this toothy grin. A couple of them get up and start scurrying away and laughing. One actually, like, you realize is on your waist and picking through your pockets, and as you kind of swat at it, it jumps down and starts running too.
I've had a few too many mushrooms, it seems. Kind of glance around. This one that's down there on the ground in front of him, he'll offer his own toothy smile. Put his hand down, kind of motion for it to climb aboard his hand.
Give me it's not necessarily an animal handling, but give me a persuasion, I guess.
Persuasion?
Yeah.
Let's see. Why didn't that work? Let's try it again. Oh, that's fine. Apparently, I'm not very persuasive.
It bites,
little friend.
It bites your finger and runs off.
Little bastard.
And it's at that point that you realize that you feel pretty damn good. You remember, you look at the finger where the blood should be, and then you kind of have this flash of the spiritual weapon just gutting you from behind and dropping to the ground. You actually look down and feel for where the wound was. Look at your shoulder, and there's nothing there. Your clothes are in pristine shape. And as you look around, the forest just seems to kind of go off in all the, like, to what you can only explain as far as you can see in every direction.
Don't know what I've eaten or what I've been drinking, but this is strange.
And it's at that moment that you hear something move behind you in the distance.
I'll glance around if there's any sort of path or clearing or anything, like an obvious walkway or whatever. I'll start heading towards that or moving down that.
All right.
Trying not to let whatever's behind me notice that I know something's behind me.
Mm-hmm. And as you're walking through this forest, you do see a path, and it's kind of carrying you on. Occasionally, you pass these humanoid statues. And they're covered in flowers and brightly lit, like, wisps and stuff. And it almost seems like the stone itself has crystals embedded in them. And they're just kind of standing there with weapons drawn at the ready, but not in a menacing way. And you pass like 4 or 5 of these. You hear them moving behind you more, but if you just basically try to ignore it and not pay any attention to it, it never really gets any closer or any further. You walk and you follow this path, and you look above you, and it's the night sky, the rain just kind of frozen in place. You run your hand through it, and you just see the water drops kind of float along by, almost like you're in like a lava lamp or something. And as you follow this path, it's suddenly, like a crisp line, stops and gives way to nothingness. Almost like space itself. You look, and it's almost like you hit the end of the world. You look to your left, kind of bend down. It falls for thousands of feet into nothingness. You look around and you see a forest literally above you. And then off to your left, it's like a highway, like a road almost, but made of forest. And as you look around, you see hundreds of these highway forest, literally disobeying the laws of physics itself, almost like picture like an Inception kind of thing. All these pathways in forests. As you look behind you, several of the gemstone figures have kind of gathered behind you. You hear a voice call out, a female voice. The voice is soothing. It almost draws you in, and it says, "Warndell, you can't stay here. Find me. Find the path." You look below and picture a sun setting and rising, only instead of going towards the sky, it's happening below you. And you see the sun kind of come up and race through the sky below you and set. And then it come up again and even quicker, race through the sky and set. And then come up and a little bit slower, kind of carry its way through the sky and set. And then quick, and then it kind of is doing this over and over again. Not necessarily at a rhythmic sense, but you're just watching it go by. You look behind you. Go ahead.
Like I said, I'll turn and look at these statues behind me. Kind of walk up to them. You said they have flowers and stuff on them, right?
Yep. They look quite decorative.
Nice. Reach out and touch one of these things, assuming it doesn't like it just try to kill me or something. I want to pluck a little handfuls of flowers. Just kind of murmur some words, maybe that he was taught in Elven, to himself. He smiles kind of wide and puts these flowers that he gathers up into his pack. And kind of listens again for this voice, trying to get a sense of where it might be coming from. See if he can find this path to it or whatever it is that he can try and figure out what he's supposed to do.
Yep. So give a perception check again. We'll see if you can pass one. I guess you passed the first one. You look around and just literally picture the vision. It's just like you literally this Inception like forest of this highway of forest just everywhere. You look to your left and literally the forest actually at a 90 degrees starts shooting up like a wall, and you just have no clue where to go, and it's just probably incredibly daunting experience. But as you kind of lean against a statue, suddenly it shifts and the weapon kind of goes to the ready. You back up, and the statue itself, all 5 of them rotate, and then their arms kind of point out to the left.
Kind of growls under his breath a little bit, getting a little more frustrated with this whole thing. He's like, "Where is my friends? What is this forsaken place?" Glance around, kind of looks at himself again, kind of pinches at his skin a little bit. He remembers, being stabbed by this thing and gored to death. And yet here he is still alive. He's like, perhaps I am dead. You look at where these statues are pointing. Says, "Well, I suppose I should meet my maker anyway." Just kind of shove past him, a little annoyed at this whole thing and following wherever they point, turning back to kind of flip him off a little before he continues on.
Absolutely. As you flip him off, a flower that was closed literally blooms right before you. And there's just this giant ruby in the center of it.
Well, whoever's here must know that I like gems and I keep offering them up, so I suppose it's mine anyway. He'll reach down and kind of pluck this thing, looking it over a few before putting it in his vest pocket.
You do so. And it's at that point that we jump back over to the cold, mucky wastelands. You guys have been walking now. Octavius, you look down and you swear that for a moment you've seen Octavius kind of smile. And then that instantly goes to a frown and he murmurs something. You've been passing more and more of these stone orcs and stone elves. And You guys come upon another a hill or bluff, and Ron says it won't be long now. And what you see is these 5 stone figures, 2 of which are elves and 3 of which are orcs, engaged in this terrible combat. But it seems like the stone itself literally closed around them and petrified them in the middle of their fight. Do you guys want to do anything?
I would just continually murmur to Warrendale, hold on there, buddy. You're going to make it. We'll get there soon. And I just slowly but surely trudge through.
Absolutely. What about Sunny? What's Sunny doing in all this? Having a couple drinks?
Well, she's certainly wearing her cloak, and
Yep.
it's up fairly tight because she hates the rain so much. She takes a few nips here and there to keep herself motivated per se, but she's not drinking as if it's time to for battle, time to go. But she certainly is. She's getting to the point where the alcohol is becoming a necessity for her more than an enjoyable moment, to forget. But she looks at Octavius as we walk through, and she says, "Is this type of thing normal here? I've never." Were these people?
I've never seen anything like it. I've never even read anything
But
like
do you think
it.
they were people?
It looks like they were. It looks like they were elves battling. It looks like they were in the middle of a war and somehow just froze.
It's one of two things. Either it's the best art I've ever seen, or it's as you say.
I feel as though this is a sight of horror instead of a sight of beauty.
It looks like a sight of great loss. This is terrible. And then, is Livy near us?
She's
Or is she off walking with
entourage.
her-
Like, I think
Yeah.
she'd be
So,
more with her.
she can move very quickly, and even without very much sound. And she would come up next to you, and she goes, "I understand that we're going on a hunt, but when we hunt, when us Tabaxi hunt, there's no way we'd have 20 people with us. When the hell are we going to hunt?"
Well, I believe the elves are here because they want to escort my grandpa somewhere. My grandpa says we're going to go hunt, but first I need to meet someone. So I think the hunt's
Hi, I'm right here.
here.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Who, me?
Yep. Sorry. Did you say something?
No, I said, so do you know this person you're going to meet?
Nope. But apparently they are why I am who I am.
It's at that moment that Aaron actually comes and kind of interrupts you guys, and he's like, "So, what are you guys talking about?"
She's just wanting to know why there's so many people going on the hunt with us, and I told her that they came for you, and we're going to go on our hunt. But first, I need to meet someone. So I'm guessing that we'll go on our hunt afterwards. But
with all due respect, sir, if we're going to hunt something, first off, we're making an awful clatter, and why are there so many of us?
He just kind of smiles and says that the noise won't be a big deal. And well, me and Ron here in the Arrowhome tribe, we go way, 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 way back. Old friends, one would say. Enoch would kind of pop up and say that Ron and Aaron have been friends since her dad was a little young elf.
Well, and then there's another thing that's really troubling me is this. I'm assuming we just passed more and more of these what look like statues. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
As we're walking through.
Absolutely.
Okay. As we pass one, I go, is that a person, or is this just really incredible art?
It's no art, Ron says. It's a terrible thing. We lost more than half of our people in this orc attack. I've never seen a poison like this. Its intent is strictly to destroy. And
Wait,
I fear
poison?
that yes. It's an
You
infection.
poisoned this,
Yes.
so it could be reversed.
Perhaps we've tried everything. Our elder has tried everything. But
She takes another nip.
and it's at that moment
This is
that
heavy.
you realize that your little nips are starting to. You hear the sloshing at the bottom of the bottle. You're gonna need a refill pretty soon, actually, because it's been almost 4 or 5 days now.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And she realizes that she hits that where like it feels like you drank it all, but then she holds it up and it kind of swirls a little bit and goes, oh, okay, there's a little. She corks the bottle, puts it in her pack, knowing that she can't just take these little sips of wine like she's been doing, and looks at the elf and says, you don't happen to carry wine with you, do you? Any of you or your compatriots?
He shakes his head no, and kind of gives you like a. It seems hardly the time.
She
Your friend is in grave danger here. Honestly, his life might be lost.
well, he's.
He's
I very much have grown to like Warrendell, but his spirit is maybe like these. And she runs her finger, well, one of her paw fingers, across the statue as we walk past it. Is maybe as poisoned as this soul.
Gives you like a curious look. It's at that moment that Aaron has kind of lost his interest in Livy and Sonny and has made his way over to Octavius. And he comes up to you and he's like, What's your name, friend?
I am Octavius Wren, sir. And you?
The name's Aaron Connor. And pleasure to meet you. Your friend there, I'm sorry.
The pleasure's all mine, and I'm sure you'll be fine. We just need to get to where we're going.
Yes, and rather quickly. I can sense a strangeness in the air, can't you?
This is an odd land. I've never seen anything like this.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate you taking Livy in. I've always told her stories of my adventuring days, and ever since she's been a little girl, it's I think all she's ever really wanted. I'm sure it's a very great joy for her to be with you guys.
Well, we just met, and it's kind of dangerous out there. Are you sure this is something that you want your granddaughter involved in?
He smiles and he says, "Oh, this is no coincidence at all. You know, right?"
you're right, so Grandpa.
What's that?
You really think so, Grandpa?
Oh, absolutely. The fact that you all met here, it's not coincidence at all. It never could be. All of you, you have a combined fate. No way to know what it is or what it ever will be, but make no mistake that the four of you meeting, it was intended.
Sunshine.
Octavius would look at Livy and just be like, she's a strange girl.
Do you really believe that, sir?
Believe with all my heart. He smiles. There's no reason not to.
You know I'm very far from my home, right?
All the more reason.
The exact words I was gonna say.
And that yeah. And that at that moment, it kind of clicks in her head. She feels a little bit less drunk just from that moment, you know what I mean? And then looks around at the three of them, and then Warrendell's limp body in his arms, and she never really liked Warren. He's a jerk to her, you know what I mean? Like, and he just she kind of rubs his head, and says, "Just as we have our 9 lives, maybe we can bring yours back as well." There. Be
Octavius,
nicer.
don't touch him.
Wait,
It's really
hold on. But when you come back this time, be nicer. And she slaps him just cute. You know what I mean? Not hard, not to hurt him. You know what I mean? But like, just yeah, be nicer this time, Warrendale.
Absolutely. It's at this moment that an elf, one of the kind of lackeys of the scout party, actually walks by and he shoulders Aaron. And he says, "None of this would have ever happened if you never came around. Everything would have been all right. This is all your fault. Curse you and your humans. The lot of you."
Are you talking to us?
No, he's talking to Aaron. And then he kind of...
No. I understand that. You know what I mean? Are you speaking about us? Because I'm no human. And she pulls off her hood. Because is there a problem?
He looks at you and he's like, "Are you kidding me? Is there a problem? Can you not look around? Do you not have eyes? Look at this forest. This forest was our home. And it's his fault." Ron kind of puts his hands up and he's like, whoa. You guys, no reason to fight.
Octavius would be slowly but surely still walking in the direction as he turns and looks at everyone and says, "Hey guys, might be something better to do right now." Sure, I didn't do this on purpose.
No, you need to elaborate on that, there, Elf. What do you mean it was his fault?
Yeah. What could my grandpa possibly done?
Aaron kind of, no worry.
No, there needs to be worry.
The elf is quite right, actually. Everything probably would have been all right. He looks down.
He looks a shock. What?
He looks down at his stone arm and he kind of smiles. And he says to himself that being all right, though, is hardly living. He knows that him and his Edda would have rather been long dead and gone than just be all right. So yes, you're right, my friend. This perhaps is a bit my fault. But all will come to pass, and all will be all right. I can assure you of that, and it'll be better than all right, actually. Because that's what living is being more than all right. Being extraordinary. And he kind of smiles and walks on by, unless you guys are going to kind of hassle him. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry. If you want me to explain, all will be explained shortly. We just have to get to where you're going. Your friend Octavius is right. We can't be bickering here if we want to save Warrendale."
Yes.
Then let's move with haste. We could push a better pace than this.
Yep. And then with that, you guys start moving a little quicker through the rain and muck. It's at that point that Warrendale, you're walking through this extra dimensional highway of forests, and as you're walking, you look up and you see that just like basically you are now upside down, essentially walking on like a ceiling. And as you look down, you see the forest below where you currently were. You look to your right, there's like 5 of these highway forest paths kind of swirling around and literally doing loops. You look to your left and there's just a waterfall flowing in space by itself. There's no like beginning or end of it. It's just there kind of running. And you see these like gemstones kind of fluttering out of the bottom of it. Basically like a slot machine overflowing with coins. Only gemstones are just falling down into the abyss below you. It's at this point that you feel like you've been here for an eternity and you're just literally aimlessly walking around.
Goddamn place.
You feel your face. There's like this warm kind of, almost like you've been slapped. And then as you feel it,
a little.
there's a flower there now growing on your cheek.
Ugh, I will save that for later. He'll sit down, getting just completely frustrated with this whole thing, walking in circles, and that's bullshit. If dying was so easy, then he just kind of spits on the ground, kicks up a little bit of dirt. I ain't got no more time for this, he'll say as he looks around. He says, Come, let's be done with this.
So at that point, you hear a voice saying in this deep kind of make your skin crawl, all we ever have is time, Warndell.
I'm not a patient man.
No, you're not. You're a man of chance. You're a man of great depth. Depths. Sorry.
Depths too. You don't need them that far.
Depths also, but depths mostly. You think that just dying is a way to escape your deaths, do you? No man can outrun what is owed.
Says, I've won many games of chance. I could risk this one too.
I was hoping that you'd say that. And it's at that moment, literally like appearing from behind a tree, is this entity. I'm going to share a picture, hopefully. Maybe.
Yep, I see it.
And he says, you need to find the path, Wandel. You're where you don't belong. You're lost.
Can you blame me? This place is a shithole. Trees on walls and waterfalls in the abyss and suns that don't know what the fuck they're doing.
He kind of laughs to himself and says, you are everywhere and anywhere you want to be. You just need to know the right path. And it just so happens that I am somebody that knows all the right paths. And he kind of points his long arm, and this creature is literally like double, if not triple or quadruple the size of you. And as he points in the horizon, you see that all of these kind of forest paths all seem to gather in this one spot and head to this area. This giant, what looks like tree built on the clouds and space itself. There's a great light kind of emanating from it, and you just see hundreds, if not thousands, of these forest highways connecting to this. That, my friend, is where you need to be. But how you get there, well, that's always the question, isn't it?
You could just point the way and I'll just follow the path, Make it easy.
I could.
I got the coin and a few coins, flowers, this fancy ruby.
I myself like to take chances, much like you. How about you fancy a game of chance? A game of wagers? What's a man with a debt like yours? What's another couple payments owed?
Yeah, well, I can't refuse a game of chance, win or lose. But you should know that I've outsmarted several dragons in my day.
Well, they call me the gambler, and I don't think you'll be outsmarting me. Now, and he reaches into his hand, and he pulls out this large dice. Best of 3. Whoever rolls the highest wins the game. If you win, I'll show you the way, and your soul can get out of here before it's too late. But if I win, and he kind of licks his lips, you owe me time.
Well, I got plenty of time around here, it seems. But if I win, I live, eh?
Well, I didn't say that. I said I'll show you the path. Whether you live or die is completely out of my control. He smiles.
Well, I do need to know where this path is going to take me. I mean, I'm quite content here to pick flowers and pick coins and be rich in my own realm. I'm like a king here.
He smiles. You're no king here, Warndell. You're where you don't belong. And the longer
See,
you
you
stay,
want to get rid of me then, so you can just point the way and give me your coins.
it's all the same to me whether you stay or go. You'll go insane sooner or later the longer you stay, though.
Ugh.
I guess you're a bit insane as it is, though.
I've been called worse. So how are you using your dice or mine?
Well, I have mine. Did you bring your own?
I suppose I have a pair here somewhere. Yeah, he'll rifle around in his pack like he can't find anything. Take one out, kind of look at it, shrug, dig around, find another one. Yeah, these will work. They're not mine, per se, but hopefully they do well.
And it's at that point when you're fiddling around in your pack. Are you grabbing a certain dice or?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. I just didn't know if you remembered or not. And he kind of smiles at you. And he says, don't you just love a good game of chance?
Yeah, chance is always on my side.
And he rolls his dice, and I'm actually just going to roll it. And rolls a 4.
Let's see. I don't know. I'm assuming they're weighted for me to win.
Basically, the way they work is if you think of what you want to roll, you roll it.
So he rolled a 4. I'll look at it. A 4 is not hard to beat. Would you like to maybe roll one more time or take your chances?
Oh, it's a best of 3. Let's make it interesting.
All right. He won't even really think of a number. He'll kind of glare off the distance, ponder on the flowers. 7.
Nice. He says, 1 for you. 1 step closer to the path. Rolls again. This time he... Oh, it didn't roll. Hold on. A 19.
It's an awfully high number.
He kind of puts his fingers together almost like a Mr. Burns, kind of his long, bony fingers tapped together, and he says, well, that's a pretty good number, Wandel. Are you getting a little nervous?
Just a little bit. So as I get one more closer to this path that you say, is it this path here?
He nods.
Very well. Kind of wipe his forehead a little bit, acting a little bit nervous. Give it a roll. I'll just roll straight up anyway.
1 for me and 1 for you, Wandel. Oh, I can just taste the time seeping from you.
You look nervous. Little sweat on your brow.
1 and 1. He rolls again. This time a 9.
So it's almost a 50-50, you see. Kind of look at his dice, rub between his hands a little. He says, are you sure you want to lose? We just could call it even.
I don't think I'll lose, Wandel.
All right. Actually, I want to roll. So, yeah, he'll roll it. Yeah, 12.
It kind of bounces along and momentarily stops at 8 and then just like creaks over to 12. The gambler kind of leans down really close to your face and looks at it, and he says, you're a lucky one, aren't you?
Sometimes, but not so much all the time. It seems I ended up in this shithole.
Well, he rolls a nat 20. 2 to 1. Let's see if you can beat that.
through the 1. He says, I can't beat the 20.
If you tie me, we'll redo, he says. But if you don't want to roll it, or you just want to call it a loss, then that puts you at 2-2 each, sudden death.
That's well, I'll roll, but I'm assuming we'll go on.
All right. Well, this decides it. The next roll. He picks up his dice and shakes it in his hand. And then
would you like me to roll first?
he looks at you. If you insist.
He'll kind of glance around at this crappy place, ready to go home. Grab his die between his 2 hands a little bit. Stare at this being, whatever he might be, the gambler. Says, well, perhaps we will meet again at some point. I like you. And he'll let the dice roll to a 18.
Oh, shit. He's risking it for the biscuit. All right, let me roll it. Oh, a 17.
I'm going to say, watch you roll a 20.
He looks at you and kind of hisses. And when he does so, his mouth kind of opens and 6 tongues lash out all at once. No fair. You cheated.
You said there was no cheating. You never said it. Perhaps you should lay the rules down stricter next time.
He leans in and says, you'll pay for that. No one cheats me.
I've heard that many times. What is this path I need to follow? I'm ready to leave this shit.
Kind of gets up
someday.
He gets up in your face kind of menacingly, and then his hands kind of wither around you, and the hands themselves are bigger than you, and he almost like thinks about just crushing you then and there. But then his hands kind of fade back, and he smiles and rubs his chin and says, very well. I'll show you the path. May you find the right way. Maybe we'll get to play again someday, Bowen. And he points, and one of the highways kind of drop down from the above you and connect to where you are, and you just see this long long route of forest kind of continue out. And he says, until next time.
Arnold, smile, give him a thumbs up, and turn and walk away. Perhaps next time, gambler.
Perfect. I'll give you a point of inspiration for that, because if you actually would have lost, you probably would have been dead. Back to the rain, back to the muck. You guys are carrying along, and it seems like an hour or two has passed, and you're weary and you're tired. You've been up almost all night, and you suspect that the sun will soon be up. And it's at that moment that the elf party kind of stops. The lead scout holds up his hand and kind of calls a halt. They duck down.
Levy follows, ducks down.
Octavius would just continue to stand there, holding Warrendale, looking like, what are you guys doing?
She'd be looking to see what it was that they...
Give a perception check, anyone who wants to.
What? Alright, let's see if we can do this on the first try.
I'm sorry, I missed it. What did we roll?
Perception if you want to look and see what's going on, because the elves have called a halt to the...
Right.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of tall people in front of her. Like, even when they're crouching. She just can't see through them. They've been rolling low tonight.
Get it out of the way.
No, that's not it. Yeah.
Even the previous game, she was rolling low. That's why she fell into the river.
Yeah, it seems like Fantasy Grounds, the first couple times you play on it, you have to roll really low for a couple sessions before you get it out. Sunny, as you're kind of getting frustrated now, you've been in the rain for a while. These elves keep kind of slowing down, and Like there's an altercation with Aaron and the one elf. You kind of had enough, and you're just getting basically ready to like get up and be like, okay, like why aren't we moving? And it's at that moment as you look around, and the dead forest is particularly dense in this area. The trees are rather close, and although there's no leaves or bushes anymore, it kind of has that almost suffocating feeling to it. And you hear something skirt by in the distance. Moving through the trees, you see a shadow. Only for a moment, and then it ducks behind a hill. Then behind you, you hear something else, and you look. You see another shadow rip by.
Yeah, she would look over, and the entire time, Relix has been, following her and walking next to her. Now, I'm assuming that Relix is starting to like her more and more, every day that they're together.
He's actually in your hood. So picture like he's kind of wrapped around your neck, actually, because he hits the rain too. So he's climbed inside the actual hood of your cloak and is wrapped around your neck, basically.
So, she would whisper something in a language none of you know, because she can speak cat in theory.
Meow, meow.
And that's how she was able to. Yeah. And did you see that, Relix?
He kind of,
what I mean? That's what. Yeah. Okay. Be wary. And I would like to roll for stealth to see if I can get myself.
Yep. Go ahead.
In a good spot so I can keep paying attention to what's going on, but more for an advantageous position rather than being not seen. You know what I mean?
Go ahead.
Just a stone or something like that. Let's see. It was a good roll, so now it's gonna be a bad one. Oh no, 2 15s in a row. How nice.
Nice. So yeah, you definitely slip away into maybe behind a tree or something. There's quite a bit of cover in this area. Octavio, so you're kind of, because you didn't even duck, right? You're just standing there.
I'm sure I would have been pulled down quickly, but yeah, it would have taken me a while before I haunched over.
You look to your left, and you see another one of these stone elves frozen there in time. Only this one isn't a scout. It isn't a warrior of this elf tribe. It's a small young child, just frozen there, stone, reaching out. He has a face of just pure suffering, pain. It's like he's calling out to you.
Oh yeah, a tear would come into Octavius's eye as he feels drawn to go to the statue.
You start to walk towards it?
Yeah, I think I would. I think I would stay hunched over. I would never, ever once put Warrendale down. And I would slowly crab walk over to this thing.
Crab walk. Beautiful. As you walk over, you can almost swear that you hear whispering coming from it. And as you lean in just to try to hear what it's saying, you can't necessarily comprehend it, but you can hear the suffering in its voice. And as you get closer and closer, does anybody do anything as they see Octavius kind of wander off the group and break the path or break the formation? I'm going to take that as a no. You get in and go ahead, Mary.
I would just kind of look at her grandpa. He's like, I'm not sure. Right,
Your grandpa actually kind of has a frown on his face, and he's actually like rubbing his stone arm like it's kind of paining him. It often does in the rain, but you catch him for a moment, and as he realizes you're looking at him, he just smiles at you.
Goes to spy on Octavius. Where is he going?
And it's at that moment as you kind of lean in, Octavius, and you're just close to this child, and all you want to do is embrace it. You just hear this terrifying scream, and bursting kind of up through the ground itself is one of these stone orcs. Only now it's moving. Its stone claws come flying towards you, It's going to try to hit you for a 8. You kind of fall back with Warrendale in your hands. It's going to come in again and try to grab you once more, or hit you once more. And this time it rolled an 18.
That is my AC.
All right, so it kind of slams into you, raking its claws across you for 7 damage.
Okay.
It's at that point that everyone kind of like jumps and sees this going on. And as you look behind, you hear several more of these screams. And kind of coming from the tree lines, you see the shadows of the stone infected people that you've passed all starting to move in upon you. I think it's about time to roll initiative.
Before I roll initiative, I obviously have my shield up. I'd like to maneuver my shield to basically like cradle Warrendale as much as I possibly can in both arms, but with the shield in front of him, like definitely protecting him over me.
Okay. So what I'll say is you can do that, but anyone that tries to hit Warrendale will have disadvantage. But if you're going to focus your intent on defending him, it's going to kind of open you up to an attack, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Everybody else in?
He's such a boy scout.
Let me see. Obviously, except Warrendale, who gets the joy of sitting out for the first little bit. All right, the first that are up, or I guess I should actually drag in some of these actual baddies. All right, and there we go. The first to act is the first scout party, and they kind of lunge up, and as they pull their arrows, just like lightning quick, pull an arrow from their quiver and draw it back, and they all 6 of them unleash this flurry of arrows, this volley, and as it kind of hits into the orcs, many of the arrows actually splinter and don't really seem to get through. But for one arrow actually maybe pierces through the actual orc's stone hide, as it seems like it just kind of bounces off their stony skin. One of them is going to come up and get behind you, Livy. It's going to try to attack you for a 16 to hit, which I believe is a...
That should be a hit because she doesn't have her weapon drawn.
Okay. And it does 5 damage. Another one's going to come up behind you. Let me actually... I keep forgetting that I can actually target you guys, so let's just do it that way. Sunny. And it misses terribly. Some of these stone elves kind of draw by, and they actually have in one hand the bow still stuck to their hand, but the other hand kind of free tries to claw at you, as it seems like they don't really seem too keen on using their bow anymore. This one is going to attack the stealth party as about 4 of them descend upon the second scout party of elves and start just like grabbing onto them and ripping into them. Sunny, you're up next. There's about 10 of these creatures in total.
Okay. They're the statues?
Yes. And sorry,
Okay.
Octavius and Livy, give me a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, snaps.
And go ahead, Sunny.
Okay. Wow, that's wonderful for you, Octavius. And all right, yeah. So, she was already in a very good position. You know what I mean? She positioned herself well. So there's certainly one that is, oh no, wait, there's one that's in my face that tried to attack me, isn't there?
Yep.
All right, yeah. So she
Or,
would
sorry, you were
certainly,
stealth. You're stealth.
take a look at that one.
But we'll say that there's one that's in front of you that doesn't notice you. So yeah, sorry about that.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. It's she's gonna rise up and very much kind of look strangely at it, like she was told that these are inanimate objects. You know what I mean? Like Why is it attacking me? But nonetheless, she's gonna attack it
Livy knows.
really well.
Yeah, that's really
And when I hit that, does it seem like it took damage?
it did take damage, yes. Although you don't know if the attack did its full kind of strike, as it seems like he probably has some resistances.
Yeah, flurry of blows, 14.
All right, that still hits.
Okay. Here, I'm gonna roll the last one because I'm not up against a creature. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just
Yep.
I just really got the rolls out of the way. Oh, and that's a natural 20 on that last one.
Nice.
So we'll do like this. I'll do this one. And well, there's my natural 20. Okay, and then I'll roll just one more. So
Beautiful.
total it was
21.
yeah, 5 plus 10 plus 6, yeah, 21 damage.
So I'm going to say that you jump up and literally punch off the first one's head, and it just kind of crumbles to the ground.
Right.
You still have enough damage to go through and run up to another one and actually down that one too.
Down that one as well. Okay, and then because of my ability, I am going to okay, I don't have to disengage from one. But I would like to move up to a good. Well, I'd like to disengage and hide behind one of the statues that hasn't been animated.
Okay, that's fine.
You
I'll
want me
say
to
you
roll stealth for
retain. I'll say you retain your stealth since you killed the two that basically were in your area.
that? Okay, cool.
Next up is Livy and Dan. Do you want to do something for the con save off like right now, or is it something that you can do on your turn?
No, I think I think this is exactly what you want. So let me just see what happens. Octavius takes the hit. Starts to feel his constitution waver. Remembering his oath to Ilmater and his protection of Warrendale, Octavius would like to steel himself and use inspiration to roll it again.
All right, go ahead.
Bam.
Oh wow!
Damn it!
Sorry.
It was so cool in my head, but it didn't work out at all.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to giggle. That's really funny.
It was slightly better.
You actually like momentarily drop Warren down, and his head kind of like flops off of a tree for a second as you're trying to pull yourself away from this thing.
It's fine.
It's another
That's fine.
dick face on your wait for it.
Livy,
Later.
Livy, you're now up.
Yeah. What? So she rolled an 11 for her con save. What happened?
As far as you know, nothing, but you do have a searing pain from where the creature struck you.
Ugh. Alright, I'm seeing someone. She's like, oh, okay, these rocks or statues aren't quite as solid as they seem. So, pulling out her rapier, she will go and stab somebody.
Stabby.
Yeah, just trying to make sure. Oh, hang on. We'll go with
Stab.
Am I just rolling it out, or where's the? Oh, sorry,
No worries.
just trying to look for.
So go to your actions tab on your character sheet.
Yeah, I got the combat tracker up. So I got the Elf Scout party.
There's nobody to select though. It's just there's.
Oh yeah,
So just roll.
my bad. I didn't actually show them.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's what I was trying to look for. Because I'm pretty sure the elves are on our side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or are they?
We'll go for the stone orc. Take
Kinda
that.
pissed.
All right, it's a hit.
Excellent. We're going to be like, poke. There you go. There you are. Harsh.
You poke one, and he partially resists the strike, as he is resistant to that type of damage, as you probably would assume. But go ahead and do you have another attack? You probably don't, eh?
Not yet.
All right, so you attack him, and you that was with your rapier. Yeah, so a rapier is kind of a hard weapon to use on the orcs, but you find like maybe a patch of skin that isn't fully sealed over and poke them in it.
Saying like, yep. But she'll still just kind of hold her stance and just ready herself for reading what they're going to try and do to her.
The second party of elves realize that the bows aren't having much of effect, and they kind of whip out their short swords and charge. And one comes up to the one that you're fighting and stabs it, and another one comes and kind of takes that one down. The other three focus and take down some of the elves on their own, basically fighting their own kin. You see that there's a fierceness in their eyes as they recognize the people that they're fighting, only now it's kind of a stone infected remains of them. They deal with them pretty swiftly, leveling the orc or the elf side of it, but there's still 2 or 3 of these orcs that remain. Octavius, as you're up and you kind of have Warrendell in your arms.
Got tribute off. I guess I would imagine that one of these orcs is in front of me somewhere.
Yep, definitely anything's within range, we'll say. They're all kind of close and dirty.
Do I get the sense that these things still actually have life in them, or if they're being dead controlled by something else?
You can check if you want. I think that would maybe be an insight. Makes sense to me. You sense no life coming from these things. They definitely are attacking with a purpose, but a soul or a life is not what's in these unfortunate people anymore.
Okay. If it's cool, I'd like to. Can I try to turn undead?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I will present my holy symbol, and I will speak a prayer. Each undead that can see or hear me within 30 feet must make a wisdom saving throw. If the creature fails the saving throw, it is turned for 1 minute, or until it takes any damage. A turned creature must spend its turns trying to move as far away from you as it can, and it can't willingly move within a space 30 feet of you. It also can't take reactions. All right.
So what does this prayer look like really quickly?
Basically, Octavius Wren would just reach a... God, where is my holy symbol? I think it's on my shield. Octavius would just basically, since his shield is still showing, protecting Warrendell, he would basically just start speaking, basically a very quiet mumbling underneath his breath. If anything, Warrendell might remember it later on when he wakes up, but it would sound very silly and childlike, but it would just basically almost be a nursery rhyme under his breath as he's holding up his shield, and then the last words spoken would kind of leave a small trail of white cloud coming from his mouth and entering the radius of the 30 feet.
And as this prayer goes off and the radius of this kind of religious energy fills the area, none of the stone people, we're going to call them, are affected in any way. They're not undead. And they're not living. There's something else.
Fair enough. I'd use an action for that, so.
Yep. No bonus action or anything?
I think it's maybe movement. I'll just try to separate myself from the orcs if none of them are within direct contact of me. Are there any that engaged with me right now?
Yeah, there's still the one that's kind of swiping at you, actually.
All right. If I can make a... No. I'll just basically just brace myself.
All right. And as you guys kind of fight with these stone people, the elves overcoming their old allies and now quickly dispatching them, there's a couple of these orcs left. And it's at that moment that you hear another one of those bone-curdling screams. And then another. And then another. Rond says that more are coming. We must go now. We must get to our home. If we're caught out here, then they'll overwhelm us. And he points to the horizon, and you see an uncomfortable number of these stone folk running towards you now. If we make it to our home, we can defend ourselves. We can stop this. That
Then
brings
we
us
must
back.
go.
Sorry, say again.
I would just yell, "We must go then! Let's go! Bye!"
You don't need to tell Livy twice. She'll run for it too.
And Sunny?
So, yeah, Sunny is hiding behind one of the, because she used her stealth again, but put herself in another good position, so she was all kind of outside the battle, and she's going to talk to Relix again, and she's very suspect of what's going on now. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't believe that they're poisoned or something. And the really cool thing is that, is that Tresium. Oh shit! Hold on, I was doing something else. All right, yeah, the Tresium have a poison sense, so she will just whisper to Relix to just. It's either by touch, taste, or smell that she's hugging it per se, just to lean out and just give the stone statue a lick. Does it sense that it is poisoned? Or does it sense? Is it a poison? You know what I mean? Or is it more? Or is it more like a curse or whatever?
It's not a poison, actually.
It's not a poison? Okay. Yeah, so and she had her reservation of it regardless. So she shares knows the information and will follow the group, but she is going to certainly be hood up, but be very stealthy cat-like, jumping from hiding behind statue to statue, keeping her eyes peeled because she doesn't want to do anything. But the funny thing is that she didn't realize it. But on the lowest roll, her offhand comma that she often uses has a sizable crack in it. Yeah, I think you know what I'm doing here. Remember, I wanted to switch a little bit. So, and she looks at it, and she throws it on the ground. No, just no, she just puts it in her pack and then looks at the one that is still good and goes, I think I have an idea in her head, and then travels along.
Absolutely. The first scout party kind of drops their bows and pulls out their sword too, and they're gonna engage with the orcs that are left and tell you guys to go back, get to their home. And they'll catch up. They're basically going to take on the force so that you guys can run. Get to the elder. They yell. And with that, I'm assuming that you guys take off. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
At which point we'll jump back over to Warrendale, who has now followed this path from an entity that called himself the Gambler. And as you're walking down the path, you see before you a shadow of a humanoid figure, and he's walking, and he has two smaller things, shadows by his feet as he's kind of strolling up, basically right in front of you. And as you look, the forest path that you're kind of on is actually rather narrow. It's maybe like 10 feet on either given side, and as you look over, it's just abyss or oblivion. The sun still below you is whipping by occasionally. You have lost count if you were trying to of how many times it's actually went by at this point. But this thing seems to be walking towards you.
And it's like a shadow?
On
the ground or like a... Okay.
It's a humanoid figure walking towards you. It's just in the distance at this point. And as you get closer, you quickly start to sense that this thing is quite a bit taller than you.
Horn will stop, stepping to the side the best he can as if to kind of politely let it pass by.
Absolutely. As the person that kind of comes up to you, it looks like a man, only instead of kind of iris or like his eyes are just completely white. He has this hat on his head that his antlers kind of branching off in every which way, and this long flowing black hair. He carries a bow in one arm and the spear in the other. And he has these two yellow furless dogs beside him. He walks up to you. He's about the size of a Goliath, so he's about 8 feet tall. And then he looks at you. Kind of stands there in silence. His dog's a low kind of growl.
You're not a man of many words.
And you're not a man of this plane, are you?
Just passing through.
He kind of looks at you. Do you know where you're going?
Just following the path I was told to follow.
How long have you been here? Have you been tracking? Have you been tracking the sun? He says.
That thing, no, it passes too by. Too many times.
Takes a deep sigh and says, time is different here. I can sense that you're from the material plane. I can almost smell it on you. It's what drew
Warren
me
will
here.
sniff himself.
You smell all right. Could use a shower, probably.
Yeah, the material plane does stink. So tell me how to get back then. This man sent me down this path, but it seems to be going nowhere quickly.
You're looking for the tree of paths, I presume. He kind of points in the distance to that tree that you've seen. That just basically looks like Jesus tree.
Yes, that's where I want to go, but I walk and it doesn't seem to get any closer.
But is it what you really want? Is what you really seek to go back?
To get out of this place, most certainly.
He says that they call me the Lord of the Hunt. I serve Oberon, who is the ruler of the Feywild. He has sent me to this land, this area, because it has grown corrupted. The Fey spirits of this area sense it. They sense that it's coming to an end, and they want to get out. You being here, your soul being here, is very dangerous. If one of those creatures get a hold of you, get a hold of the passage, it might attempt to take your place.
Like changelings, I've heard of such things.
But for a mortal, someone from the material plane, to be here, it is very dangerous. Years, centuries could have passed on your plane already by now. And this time will weigh on your soul. We need to get you out of here.
Oh, the quicker I should hurry then, eh?
The Forsaken will have sensed you if I can sense you.
Well, tell me where to go and I'll be on my way. Cookie is a bunny.
He kind of grabs you and takes you near and starts walking you down the path. It's at that point that he kind of does some kind of arcane chant and starts to actually like mend the path itself, and it actually like splits off and starts to grow out in this more direct line towards the tree itself. He's kind of nervously looking around, and his two skinless dogs, their noses press close to the ground, kind of sniffing around. It's at that point that you hear the voice calling you again, this female voice. Warndell, you must hurry.
Yes, I'm trying to. Who is this that speaks to me, Mr. Adlerman?
He kind of looks at you, and I did not hear a voice. What do you mean?
A woman's voice telling me I must hurry. seems to echo amongst the trees and this place.
He looks at you and says, Fayetta calls to you?
Sure, if that's what you want to call her.
Interesting. Then perhaps you still have a chance.
I'm not good at man of chance.
And it's at that time that you hear behind you this kind of crackling of tree branches. Like the breaking of stem or sticks or whatnot.
You move close next to this Lord of the Hunt, glancing over his shoulder to see if he sees or recognizes whatever's back there.
You do. You don't recognize it per se, but you see something.
A friend of yours. They see you have the same headgear.
He shakes his head no and says, that is the Forsaken Ones. You see about 5 of them, and they're kind of just standing there in darkness. He agrees. And with that, kind of starts moving you quicker. They're still in the distance, and he actually does an arcane chant and kind of breaks the path off behind you. And as they run with an alarming speed, they get close towards the edge, but the path kind of breaks off as he's mending this forest highway and kind of whips it around so that it's far out of their range. They will not stop until they have your soul. We must hurry.
If you lead the way, I shall keep up.
And it's with that we jump back over to our friends who have finally arrived at the elves, what's left of their home. Although these wood elves, you would suspect that they would have like this beautiful kind of innate connection to the forest. All you see is trees that are dead and these disheveled little huts that are broken down, as it seems like their home has unfortunately fallen to the infection too. In the center of it, though, is this one large tree with a hole kind of in the base of it. As you look at it, you see this black, almost vine or like veins crawling up the tree itself. But at the very tip of this tree that reaches out into the night sky clings a couple of green leaves, maybe a handful at best. It's the first green that you've seen since you've entered this now infected, barren wasteland. Aaron kind of looks to you guys and says, well, I do admit, Livy, I'm a bit nervous.
Yes, so am I. At least anxious, maybe, would be better. Excited?
And he says, come. I have someone that I've wanted you to meet for a very long time.
What? Got deep breath. Is ready to follow wherever.
And then he looks over to you, Octavius, and says, hurry, bring Warndell. If there's anyone that can save him, it's Mayetta.
Direct me where to go.
He brings you into the base of the tree. And what you see inside of this tree is this little kind of pond almost. And around it is this foliage of green trees, a couple flowers, but it seems like the flowers in kind of bushes or whatnot are struggling to grow, like they're dying or kind of wilting. And in the center of this pond is a woman who has this long, flowing kind of black hair and an absolutely beautiful face that she kind of has turned to you. You can only see just the side of it. But as she turns and looks to you, the face, the skin tone, what you first thought was an elf changes to a bark-like entity. And her long, flowing black hair turns into leaves and branches as you see this figure sitting in the pond. And as she reaches over to her dying kind of plants, you just see her focusing energy and trying to breathe light into them. Aaron is kind of standing there actually awkwardly, and
So am I.
he's like, I've wanted this day to come for so long, and now that it's here, I'm just so worried about what you're gonna think, Livy. You remember the stories I used to tell you?
And she just kind of nods her head, and she's just taking in this person. He's like, "Oh my gosh!"
The stories of the dragon, and well, you know how I got my stone arm.
Yeah, and the dryad that intervened.
Well, this is that dryad. This is Fayetta. And, well, she's actually your grandmother.
Wait,
Oh, snap!
Mike, that would make. But Mom, she said Grandma died.
Well, in a sense, I guess you could kind of say that the life that she once had did die. You see, once she helped us, she was touched with mortality. And even though her people did not blame her for this, it's a dryad's choice, but she was no longer welcomed in the high forest. And well, me and her, we kind of fell for each other, and well, we don't need to go into that, but we decided that
She just kind of smiles. It's like,
she moved to the Ardeep Forest and kind of made it her home. And well, over the years, and it's actually been many years, many more years than even you suspect. What do you say, sorry?
So this is why you come hunting? And she's like kind of putting the dots together, like, you went hunting. I get it now. Like, it's like this joke. Now I get it.
Mm-hmm. And
Oh, she brought me sooner.
Fayetta looks over the elves, and
How long have you been alive, sir?
he says, well, what'd you say?
I think he's 85 in the notes.
He says, yeah, that's roughly where I stopped counting. And he looks over to Ron and says, how old are you, Ron? And Ron says, about 180. And then he says, yeah, give or take that many. Sorry I lied to you, Livy. It's just people would have asked too many questions. A human like myself isn't really supposed to live that long. But you see, the love that me and Fayetta share, it also shares something else. A bit of her immortality. I'm not immortal to say, sorry. Like I'm obviously going to die one time or another, but I've been able to live for much longer. And that's why the elves were kind of mad at me, because when a dryad and a human love each other, it actually weakens the magic of the dryad. And well, yeah, this is your grandmother. What do you think? Say something.
She's like, it just seems so beautifully tragic. Like this is the stuff stories are made of. Like, and it's my story.
The dryad speaks to you, but she doesn't open her mouth. It actually speaks into your head, and you all hear it. And she says that nothing is tragic about this, my child. I've looked forward to the day I could finally meet you. Aaron said that you were coming to the right age, but I would give up my immortality any time to have met your grandfather.
Cool. No, I didn't mean it quite in like a bad tragic.
And then she's like,
she's like searching her head for like the right words to describe where it's like it's beautiful, the sacrifice, the rom. And anyways, yeah, she's like I didn't mean it in a bad way at all.
and it's at that moment that she's like, I don't mean to be awkward, but your friend Wandel, he's in grave danger.
Oh, yeah. And Octavius looks down.
Bring him to me. Rest him in the water.
Gently and with great care. But yet, a weird weakness. Octavius would lay Warren in the water, making sure that his head was propped up and, that everything was good. And then he would step back and kneel.
And then she starts to call out, and you just hear her, Warren, where are you? And then looks to you all, and speaking telepathically, she tells you that this infection that the orcs brought, it has weakened her. Her tree, her seed of life is dying. And with that, it has weakened the boundaries of the material in the Feywild. Warren's soul is lost in the Fey. And if he doesn't make his way to the Tree of Paths, then he may never come back.
Can you send me in to get him?
And if he does come back, he might never be the same. His soul could be thousands of years old by now.
Pale, matured.
Can you send me in to help him?
I'm sorry, I can't.
Ah.
And it's at that moment that you hear the screams of the stone people as an elf kind of runs in, and it's the scout party, and he's badly injured and says that they were able to hold him off, but many of them are coming. We must ready ourselves.
And Livy's now determined to prove herself to her grandmother, like, look what I can do.
Fayetta says to protect this tree. The infected ones wish to taint it and kill it. And if they do so, it will doom this forest. I can get to Warren. I can sense him. I'm calling him. But protect me. Please.
I vow my life in ill matter to protect your tree. And Octavius will get up and he's pumped. He's like, yeah, let's fucking do this.
Warren, we're back to you now. And as you are walking to this path, it's actually turned into a run. And you don't know at what point it did. But as you look behind you, you see these forsaken creatures running behind you. And as you look, there's all these paths. And they're all on the paths. There's hundreds of them even. And you see other entities that look like... do you think that Warren would ever have seen a dryad before?
Yeah, maybe in his bed, but probably not. No.
Yeah, fair enough. Either way, they look like tree and bark, but very black and kind of very, very corrupted, we'll say. And they're all kind of like charging upon you at this point. And the Lord of the Hunt, who he calls himself, he throws his spear, and the spear glows with this kind of green arcane energy. And as it soars hundreds of feet across, one of these corrupted creatures try to jump, and it's basically above you on the ceiling. And as it jumps across, the spear plunges right into its chest, kind of blowing it open, and you see this fire kind of emanate out. And then as the creature burns away to ashes, the spear kind of comes back and flies right into his hand. It's at that point with one hand that he grabs his bow and kind of with his finger pulls out an arrow, and the arrow kind of lines itself in the bow, and he's able with one hand to shoot an arrow off, as this guy can somehow shoot his longbow one-handed. You look behind you, and a bunch of these corrupted and forsaken ones are now on the path that you're on. And as you look ahead of you, maybe 200, 300 feet, you finally see this tree of paths before you. But you're tired. It's hit you now. You feel old. You don't know if you can continue to run. You don't know if you can outrun these creatures. It's going to be up to you to figure out if you can, as I'm going to get you to roll initiative now too. And let me delete this guy. Delete this guy. And do we want to take like a quick break? We've been going for a while now. Do you want to take like a bathroom break and then start this combat?
I'm not against that.
Yeah, let's take a 5-minute and chill it for a second.
Works for me.
All right. See you guys in about 5 minutes. I'm gonna go get a drink too. My throat is killing me. All right, I'm back. I don't know if anyone else is there.
I am here, sir.
Wow.
I'm always there for you, Chris.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, man.
Me too, man.
So here's the thing. Yeah, you know, what I mean, I'm planting the seed of how to, you know, turn to the wait. I don't even know how to say the fucking word. And I just have her here actually. Yeah, Kasuragama. That's what I thought it was. And the you know, so my thought process of how we can do this. Are we going to get to a major city ever?
Oh,
What am I
heck.
trying to say?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. So if once she gets to a major city, she'll just find the implements that she needs to put that together.
So are you okay
But
with it being still a couple sessions? Because
yeah. I mean, my thought process is that yeah, she noticed that it has a crack in it. It hasn't broken.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'm gonna have the second comma break, and then she's gonna have to go do this. You know what I mean? So.
Cool. Yep, but definitely, there's a lot of cities, and major cities and small cities, and a lot of stuff. We still are not out of the intro yet.
Right. But you know, I mean, she doesn't have the tools necessary. She'd have to have somebody, you know, she'd have to have somebody make her, you know, a length of chain and then get the, you know, the iron ball on the end of it. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna switch my weapon from just a straight comma to that chained comma. You know, like with the chain end of it and the big like iron ball on the end. It will still serve the same thing. It'll just look cooler in my head. And I can do some cool things with the chain probably. So, if Chris allows them, but I know Chris likes rule of cool, so it shouldn't be a problem.
I hate rule of cool.
No,
so is everyone
raw.
Back?
Period.
I think everyone's back. I see Mary. I've heard Dan. I see Warren. Correct. Or Dan, are you not back? You're on mute if you are.
Hey, what's up? I'm here.
Hey, you're back. All right, let's get this underway because I really want to get through all this so that we can actually potentially put an end to the intro.
No, I got you. You know what I mean? As long as I'm sure Mary's struggling a little bit because she's been up since almost 24 hours now.
Do you need to close it down, Mary, or what? Yeah, okay. How long do you think you can go? Just so I can try to really judge.
I get to sleep in a little bit tomorrow, so it's Sunday. So
okay. I promise I won't go past the hour if that's okay.
It should be fine.
All right. So Warren, you're up first. These Forsaken ones and these corrupted dryads are chasing after you, and they're moving with speed that it's almost like they're taking your speed. As you're running, you just feel like suddenly like this old man, and you know that where you need to be is close, but you're not going to be able to fully outrun these things. You're going to need to fight. You're going to probably want to keep moving, but you're going to want to fight or they're going to catch you. You see about 3 of these Forsaken stags behind you and 2 of these corrupted dryads on the other kind of ceiling above you. And then the corrupted ones are basically on a wall, but about 10 feet away and getting ready to jump onto your path. I know that's kind of a awful and confusing description, but picture like Inception. You're kind of fighting on these gravity-defying highways of forest, and one's about to jump off. What do you wish to do?
Is there any in my direct path? Like if I just keep
Um,
running, is there going to be something right in front of me?
Not this turn, but you see in front of you that there are some coming from in front also, but
Okay.
above. So yeah, up to you. So yeah, there is some coming from above, but it's going to take them about a turn to get to you.
All right.
The ones behind
Well-
you will catch you this turn.
Oh man. I'm going to assume that I don't have not refreshed my spells, correct?
You would assume wrong. You feel so dang magical right now that you're not going to count any of your spell slots or spell points, but you are going to tell me how many you spent.
Okay.
As you actually come to this point at this time, you're feeling slow, but never have you felt more magical in your life. You know that what controls magic in the Forgotten Realms is something called the Weave. And right now, it's almost tangible. You can almost see it and feel it flowing through the air. And as you look down to your hands, you can just see, now that it's time to fight, that lightning or fire, whatever you want it to be, is crackling in your palms.
All right. In that case, I'll continue running, obviously trying to follow this Lord of the Hunt guy and keep up with him the best I can to wherever it is he's taking me. But as I see these things crawling on the ceiling, wall, floor, whatever the hell they want to call that, you can see Warren panting for breath at this point, trying to take whatever he can get to, keep his body going. But his whole body just shimmers with this, almost looks like little gusts of wind and energy around him. And wherever I can see that is within 60 feet or so, where there might be 2 or 3 of them that are close together, I'm going to cast Shatter.
All right. Before you do, roll me a d12.
D12. That one right there. 10.
Okay. Interesting. Go ahead and shatter. So you're able to hit all 3 of them, and that's a what kind of save for me again? Constitution?
If they're made out of wood, stone, crystal, or anything organic, they get disadvantage, and it is a Constitution.
Nice. So all of them are at disadvantage. So give me a couple seconds here. And I'm just going to do batches. Fail. And fail. I rolled 2 8s at disadvantage for both sides. So both parties failed.
All right, I'll roll all the dice at once. Oops. So it's 3d8, and they're going to be thrown out of the way by 10 feet, I think it is. Creature takes 3 damage, I'll save. Which creature? Yeah. Oh, no, that's a different one. So yeah, just 3d8 damage. So here you go.
All right. And as you do that, you obliterate these 3 into shards of wood, and it looks like just kindling at this point.
So all he can see him as he's running. He just kind of swings his hands around, just does this huge clap, and all this, kind of where he's pointing or wants this to go off, just explodes in bits and pieces of these things.
Now, normally casting magic for you is, the way you've been playing it, kind of a troubling thing. It exerts you. This felt absolutely great. Almost like you've been holding in a sneeze forever and you finally got to sneeze. And it felt so great that you can immediately take another action. Any action you want. It breaks raw, you can take another full action.
I was going to say, I just want to dash then.
All right, you dash away. Do me a favor, though. Keep track of how many spells you actually cast and at what level they are, okay?
Okay.
Although it doesn't count towards your spell slots. Next up is one of these stone orcs back in the material plane. And who is in the front? Who do they see first as they come charging towards the tree?
I would hope Octavius, but Sonny or Livy might want to do it first too.
I would picture it actually as Octavius. And you have a couple elves beside you. The first scout party has been pretty much obliterated, but the other half, the other 6, stand there ready to fight with you. They're not going to give up their home. They're not going to let these infected ruin where they've been living for centuries. They kind of stand the line, and 5 of these stone orcs all kind of smash in, one onto you. He's going to roll a 19 to hit, which hits. And then what he does again is attack once more, because he can do that. And let me do that, and then I'll do the damage. Miss. All right. And six more damage. And where does the orc hit you? You're on mute if you're trying to talk.
Thanks. Sorry. The left shoulder, the same shoulder that was that withered with the abuse of Warrendale.
Absolutely. And as you look there, you said, sorry, what did you say? Where?
The left arm, left shoulder.
Okay. As you look there, where you were previously stricken before, you see that your skin is exposed a bit, and that stone is starting to encase around your shoulder. The orc, almost like he smells it or whatever, rips at the wound again and kind of tears it open that much more. Sunny, you're up now as 5 of these orcs have descended upon Octavios and the elf party. You're on mute also.
There we go. I'm also bad at my job. So yeah, she would absolutely, spring to action. We're inside now, right?
You guys are inside, but Octavios has ran out with the elves to kind of cut these off. The mission essentially is not to let these infected into the tree or around it, because they want to destroy it, and that is what connects Fayetta to this world and gives her life.
What Sunny's gonna do is that she's going to go right to the doorway per se of the treehouse. So she's still inside because she doesn't want to be out in the rain anymore. You know what I mean? Because is it still raining?
Yes.
Okay, she doesn't want to be out in the rain because she just fucking hates it. So, and she's going to hold her action until something gets close enough for her to attack.
Okay. Let's jump over to one of these Forsaken, and they're gonna spend their turn coming towards you, Warren. And since you obliterated the other pack, they are not gonna make it to you. As you look over to your right, though, kind of a pack that is missing is a couple of these corrupted dryads, and they're gonna jump out and start attacking the Lord of Hunt, who I completely forgot to put in this initiative. So I'll do that once I fix that. And Livy, you're up while I'm trying to fix that. You see, just to recap, 5 of these stone orcs basically right in front of the tree. And then off in the distance, you see some of the stone elves coming and another pack of stone orcs.
Are you muted as well?
Everybody's muted tonight.
Oh, I thought I clicked it. Anyways, he's going to do what she can with the orc that is closest to her, and so, she pulls out her rapier, and she knows that it's not going to be incredibly effective. But you know, she has confidence enough to believe that she can do it. Orc's weakness as it marches up to her. Oh, snaps, yeah. I wish it was a crit, but still.
Beautiful.
Pokety pokes that orc. And
absolutely. And
gliding in as though she's been fighting orcs all her life. Ta-da, Grandma.
That is definitely, and you figure that if they weren't so hard and made of stone, that you probably would have been able to finish it off. But unfortunately, with their thick kind of stony skin, they're able to resist that damage and cling on to life. Next up is, sorry, my initiative tracker is all crazy, is a pack of these Forsaken. And Warren, the first thing you see are these bony kind of hands grab onto the path that you're running on, and then one pulls themselves up and imposes himself directly in front of you. Another one from underneath pulls himself up. Two of them in front of you. They're going to kind of lunge in and try to attack you. Let's see here what we got. That is interesting. I rolled a 10, which definitely doesn't hit you. And 12 on the first two attacks, which I think miss. I guess I can just do it the correct way, right? And let's do that. The second one comes in, 17 hits. And this is where it's going to get interesting. Both hit. So, is it actually targeting you now, or can I? Let's do this. Ba-ba.
Actually,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, can I use some
Shield?
I don't know how you want to. Yeah, I don't know how you want to.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I rolled a 17 and a 22.
The 22 would still hit for sure. I was muted when I meant to ask, but the 17.
My bad. So yeah, the 6 damage gets through then,
Okay.
and I'll revert that back to 6. But when this thing strikes you, you feel no pain whatsoever. Next up is a scout or a stone elf party, and they're going to come upon Livy, kind of charging in and going to land. Let's see if they can hit some strikes on you guys.
Gotta be a 17.
All right, Livy, 17. That is a miss. It says a hit.
But it says a hit.
It says a hit with
Technically
15.
miss.
Okay. Because of your reaction?
How do I? Yeah, the defensive duelist.
Yep.
Feet.
Yep. And what does that boost your AC up to? 17?
Yeah.
And does it stay all around, or is it just the one attack?
That's a good question. It says whenever creature attacks you and you have one, it doesn't. I don't think it has anything.
I'll figure that out
specific to
by
just-
the end of the session. I think it probably only blocks one attack, but I'll figure it out for sure. And regardless, I missed.
Your reaction to add it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would only be for a reaction.
It's your reaction.
So yeah, for that one she used a reaction and it missed.
Yep. And then the other attack missed. The elf party that is defending you with you, Octavius, is going to charge in. And as they draw their swords with the kind of locked in with the other orcs, they start fighting back and dropping one as one of them gets dropped. Why is it back to that? Did I jump in the wrong way in initiative?
Yeah, you jumped. You skipped the scout party.
Yeah. All right. And
So it should be Octavius. It looks like, unless you have more people that we can't see.
nope, that is finally it. I don't know how I skipped you, Octavius. Octavius, as you're fighting in battle, you swear you hear this thunderous clap of thunder. But as you look around, it doesn't come from the sky. It almost seems like it has come from within you. And then you feel this scrape from behind you, rip across your back. You look, and there's no one there. However, you take 6 damage. You're now up.
What do I see in front of me?
A big, nasty stone orc.
How many more are around him?
About 4. And then more coming, for sure.
Okay, so feeling this odd internal thunder for the first time, and then the ripping across my back, automatically Octavius is imagining that it's this stone thing somehow flowing through his system, but realizing that his first initial priority is to protect this tree. Octavius answers back this thunder inside of him, and he allows it to grow. And as it grows, he stands forth and he gets as many stone organisms in front of him as he possibly can with his few friends, and he lets Thunderwave rip at level 2.
Nice.
And just basically, you can see Octavius. You wouldn't be able to know that he felt, the internal thunder, but basically it's just his arms would throw up to his sides, and his chest would bear forward, and his head would rip back, and all of a sudden from inside of him would come this ginormous, basically battle cry. 13, John save.
All right. And is that the one? No, that's not Shatter I'm thinking of. Give me a second.
Yeah, it's 3d8. So you want me to roll that now, or?
Yeah, go ahead and roll it. And it's a con save, you said? Yes.
Con save 13, yeah.
All right, so let's do that. For some reason, I rolled that at advantage, but they only had a 5, so they definitely fail.
All right, so 3d is the third dice from the right, right?
Yep. Or D8 is the basically the diamond-looking one beside the D6.
Yeah, okay. Give me a second. Oh. Nice. Holy crap. So describe what it looks like as you take out all 5 of these stone orcs right in front of you guys. Yeah, I was kind of hoping the thunderness from the shout would basically crack the stone of these orcs and rip the stone parts away from whatever's still living. So basically, like, since these things are so in tuned with the stone, it would basically rip 70 to 80% of them and just crumble it to dust, and the living pieces would just fall in and die upon themselves in front of us.
Absolutely beautiful. Like a storm itself, a thunder crack comes from you and just basically echoes across the land as many of these stone orcs are just turned to dust. Next up is the Lord of Hunt, and he is going to just quickly, with his spear, charge in at the 2 that are attacking you. And let's see here. That definitely hits. And that definitely hits. He is able to, within what almost seems like one movement, stab through the first one's face and then lift it above his head and slam it into the other one as he absolutely destroys these 2 Forsaken ones right in front of you. That brings it back up to you, Warren, as those guys actually technically aren't there. My initiative's all willy-nilly. Now, as you look, you see that a pack of these Forsaken stags and a couple of corrupted dryads, along with a bunch more, will be attacking you very soon. Although, what does it really matter? Because it doesn't really feel like it hurts. The Lord of the Hunt says, "Go! You must get to the tree. We don't have long."
Ask if he was still forcing me onward. Yeah, so Warren's going to keep running. Obviously, I'll take the move action to keep on running. And as far as casting these spells, being, sort of a part of who he is, the sorcerer aspect and coming from within has always taken this massive toll on his body. Not necessarily physical pain, but it was definitely something that wrecked his body, migraines. And it seemed like it really completely just utterly exhausted him when he cast these things. With this newfound almost enjoyment of this, though, you can see a bit of a smile crosses his face. He's thoroughly enjoying just destroying these things with his magic and just obliterating them. So he's going to do Shatter again because he's never been able to do this sort of stuff. So as far as, the ones that are back there behind him are, starting to come in on him, I'll do Shatter on that and then just keep on running towards wherever Mr. Antler Boy is pointing me to go.
All right, so go ahead and roll your damage, and I'll try to do some saves for them.
Let's see.
And roll me a D8, actually. Sorry, before you do that. Or D12.
Oh, okay. D12. There's the D12. And D8. It's 3D8, so there's those.
All right. So as you cast this Shatter spell, you're not able to take out all of them this time, but you do take out a couple. But as the spell goes off, and you're just having basically like you're just unleashed at this point, you feel a weird itching sensation on your face. You kind of remember that the flower is there, but as you go to feel it, you realize that a long beard of feathers has exploded from your face, and you now literally have like this Santa Claus-like beard, only it's completely made of feathers.
Livy will not like that.
Next up is Sunny.
All right, so nothing has advanced, right?
So there is the stone orcs that Octavius just destroyed, and then there is an elf party which will be here this turn. Sorry, nothing did advance on your ready to action, but next turn they will be there. You'll have what looks like 2 parties of enemies coming.
Okay, 2 parties. All right, 2 parties means how many elves is that total?
About 10, give or take.
Oh, wonderful.
Yep.
I'm
I'm all about throwing massive amount of guys to you.
What's that?
I'm all about throwing massive amount of guys at you guys.
Yeah, I see that. All right, yeah. So she, getting a little impatient. She reaches into her pack, and she pulls out that bottle. It's all she's got. And she does that funny thing of like pulling off the cork, and she tips it all the way forward so it's just straight vertical, and then does the hand like on the bottom of the bottle thing to try to get some, all the rest of the remnants out of it.
Yep.
And that's the last, I'm not going to be able to go any higher than a D6, but, that's where she's at. So she did that. And then she is going to charge towards, what does the landscape look around us?
Basically the tree itself is on kind of a little mound, and as it carries down about 5 feet where everybody else is kind of standing, it almost is like a clearing which kind of carries upwards and is basically sunken in around this hill on all directions, and the stone kind of people are running down this hill towards you guys. There's a couple of trees on the horizons, but for the most part it's open.
All right, so could she climb up into the tree?
Yeah, if she wanted to.
Sorry, hold on, I didn't hear you. Sound got weird, and now
Yeah, you can climb the tree if you want.
Okay. She'd like to actually climb up into the tree and then roll stealth.
Okay.
To see if we can.
Go ahead.
I want to try to gain advantage on on the next thing, and then I'm probably gonna hold my action again.
Yep.
So let me do that. Hold on. I was looking at the hangout, so give me a second to do that. Yeah, no, she doesn't do that.
Okay.
So she grabs up into the tree, and then she realizes that this tree looks like it's the oldest thing she's ever seen.
Indeed.
And she changes her mind drastically, holds her action to to protect what she's been told to.
All right. Another one of these forsaken stags, they're going to go for you, and for some reason they're rolling at advantage, and that's not right. Let's just see. Let's fix that. That's a hit.
Yeah.
And that's a hit. So, Warren, you take a total of 15 theoretical damage. As these creatures, one comes up to you with its wooden fingers and it rakes its hand right across your face. And it feels like it should just absolutely like shred your face off. But instead you just look at it and you feel nothing. It stabs you in the gut. And you stand there and you feel nothing. You feel invincible. The Dryads are going to go after the Lord of Hunt, and a couple of them land their attacks on him, but it doesn't really seem to be doing much. As Livy, back in the material plane, it's now your turn.
Hi, let me sing. Octavius being like all awesome and whatnot, and she's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to also channel some magic, and she will air around her finger as she collects like let's see, well, we're going to summon the chromatic orb, and does that? I may have done that wrong, or you're rolling dice, aren't you? But she's going after the Stone Elf Scout.
I'm not too close. You don't,
All right, here we go. Or no, that's damage, right? You need a first roll and attack. Where'd they go? There they are. Them. Ew.
Bam! Hit.
Oh, woo! All right, let's get this lightning going. Bam.
Nice.
nice.
Yeah, she just spins it off towards them and for it.
Yeah, and you obliterate 2 of them.
Yeah. I believe that was a gift from you, Grandma. She'll kind of mention.
Nice. The elf party readies themselves for the remaining stone elves that are coming that you just attacked. And as they do charge forth, their attacks are going to go off at the same time. One is going to get through on you, Livy, although apparently Fantasy Grounds thinks that 3 attacks should. So let me drop that. And whoopah. Not 20. Uh-oh. Let's see what happens.
Ta-da! She looks away just for a second. Back at Grandma. Just like, see what
Thanks,
I did?
Grandma. Whoopah. 7 damage as they attack you. But the remaining elf party is dealing with them so that there's only one on you at the time. Octavius, as your turn comes up, you hear another one of these thunderous claps. And this time, you look in front of you, and you see what looks like a handful of feathers just kind of appear in front of your face and start floating down to the ground. And then a horrible burning sensation as it feels like something just clawed across your face. As you touch, there's these 3 long claw marks that have just ripped right through your skin, as if something just came up to you and scratched across your face.
Put that guy down.
You look in front of you, though, and there is no orcs in front of you. You're literally, what was in front of you was turned to rubble. You can't help but look at these feathers that are now slowly fading to the ground. And for the record, you are at 27 HP now, so you're pretty close to Dunzo. As you're just looking around and getting hurt by, you have no clue what, but you just feel this. For a second, you swear that you feel Warren behind you. What do you do?
I think that the feeling of Warren behind me would shine far through any other thing that was happening, and it would bolster Octavius. The pain to him would be minuscule in the eyes of Ilmater, and he would just, the idea of hope would drive his want and his need to solve into action. Having some issues with HP at the moment. Octavius is definitely bleeding there with 3 large scratches across his face. Initially, he'll channel his divinity and preserve life. At my level, it's 20 HP. I think I can only go to half max HP, so that's 15.
Cool.
So I'll do that. Bam. And then as a bonus action, because that is an action, I will actually cast Sanctuary on myself.
Cool.
Cool story.
Nice.
Did that work?
Yep. Looks like it. What does it do?
I'll put it in the chat. Basically, you have to roll a wisdom save or something before attacking me to see if your attack goes to somewhere else.
Yep. Absolutely. As you ready yourself for these stone people coming, there's none near you, but for some reason you're just getting injured nonetheless. The Lord of Hunt is now up, and he whistles at one of his dogs who's currently like ripping forsaken stag's throat out and kind of just chomping on that bark. He whistles and commands the dog to run to you, and he yells at you to grab onto the dog. You got to go now. And that puts, God damn it, I forgot all these guys are in the initiative too. That puts you back up, although I can't get to you yet, but just go ahead and say whatever you want to do. The Lord of Hunt is yelling at you to grab a hold of the dog.
Warren remembers his days of riding on many of dogs. So yeah, he's going to go ahead and grab the collar, leash, whatever this thing might have, and he'll ride the dog.
As soon as you go to touch it, you interpret it as ride it. But the second your hand touches this dog, you feel an incredible lightness, as if you're floating. And as you look down, the ground itself starts to shift, and you phase out from where you're standing. And then just in front of this tree of paths where you're going, you appear a good 100 feet away from where you were last standing. The dog kind of momentarily looks at you and then blinks out again and teleports, and you see him phase back to where he just was. The voice now calling louder than ever. It's telling you to hurry. You look behind you, though, and you see another juicy pack of these forsaken entities. It's up to you if you want to blast off one more free spell before you head inside the tree. Or I guess you can do whatever the hell you want, realistically.
Yeah, he totally would.
All right.
So yeah, he's a slight smile. He's gonna fully take advantage of this raw power that seems to course through him without any repercussions, at least none that he knows of or can foresee anyway. So yeah, I'll just do the same thing, do shatter, and I mean, assuming the tree's right there, he'll kind of grudgingly kind of look over and see the Lord of the Hunt fighting, these dogs fighting, these things coming at him. Can't stay here forever. So he would then, follow wherever path into the tree. But
all right.
Need a D12 first.
Yep. Go ahead and do that. And Sonny, I'm gonna let you have your ready to action because I forgot, and I apologize. So you're basically gonna get to attack and then do your real turn. All right.
Okay.
So interesting. Roll a D10, Warren, real quick.
D10 is that one.
Interesting. It's pretty incremental, but you could swear that you just grew 2 inches.
Sweet. Warren's kind of short, so he puffs out his chest a little bit more and feels quite proud of his 2 inches.
Absolutely.
Do I get to pick where that 2 inches exactly is that grows?
It's your big toe.
Oh, well. He likes to think it would be other parts.
Sonny, the elves are now upon you, so it's time to take your rightful ready to action that you should have had, and then go ahead and do your regular action.
Okay, so we're gonna have some fun with this. She is rather concerned about that second comma of hers. So she doesn't draw that one. She just carries the one in her hand, and she But what she does do is that she takes that same offhand, and it seems like she has the ability, like cats do, to just extend her claws a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks and smiles and goes, "I haven't done this before." And she takes her first swipe as she would with her comma.
Okay.
There we go. That's an 18 to hit.
Definitely
I should
does.
have chosen the party. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Um,
You're fine.
and then, so that's going to do that. That's 5 damage.
All right. You definitely
But
kill the
then,
one that you're attacking.
okay. So then she, how many more are there in front of me?
2.
All right. So she's in a flurry of blows.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to, instead of using, no, I'm going to take a second swipe with the comma again, but the third strike's going to be with her hand because she has
Yep.
that cat claws, and it makes it exactly the same. So it's dope. So that one hits, and then that one, man, she's rolling good today.
Nice. They're really injured,
so-
so pretty much just describe how you kill them as long as you can roll over 2 damage twice.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, 6 and 5.
You
Okay,
reckon.
so she kind of, she sees them coming towards her, and not wanting to go into the rain, she had her hood down, and you could see Krillix just sitting there on her shoulder, looking as feline rage as Sunny does, but she just runs out into the rain a little bit, not even putting up her hood, and she takes the first swipe and cuts right through the abdomen of the first one, and if it had guts, it would have disemboweled it, but it just, a whole bunch of stone falls out, and it just kind of falls over like a tree and falls in front of her. She takes the second one and swings a comma at the one on the far left and decapitates it completely, and the head just falls over. And then not having her offhand comma because it is a bit damaged, she extends her claws and just rakes down the face of the third one, and it just crumbles from the top, but she hit it so hard that it just turned into like a bunch of like, it almost looks like pixels, and it just shatters to the ground.
Super cool. So is that it?
Well, so now that was my whatchamacallit action. Is there more coming towards me, or is there more that I could run towards to get to?
Yeah, there's a couple more that the elf scout party is dealing with.
So I could move 60 feet at this point.
You can get there.
Yeah. So she's just gonna, she's filled with, not a barbarian rage, but she's filled with the rage and the lust to help this girl Lily that helped them so much and helped her especially in that cave, because if she wouldn't have showed up, Sunny was in trouble. So she runs forward and just goes for another series of attacks. Let's see what it does here. It's 11.
That misses.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it one more time. Oh no. Why can't I select those ones? Anyways. I thought that was gonna work. Well, okay, so she does the same thing. And she's just, yeah, at this point,
Hot streak's over.
yeah, the hot streak is over. But
12
does that
gets-
12 hit?
12 gets through. Yep. So go ahead and do
so-
it.
So she swings twice, thinking she has the confidence to do exactly what she did before, but really the offhand is the only one that hits, and that's for 8 damage.
You crushed the head of the one that's right in front of Livy.
Okay, and then she looks over to Livy and goes, "Your grandmother, she will endure today. It will not be a problem, my friend." and at the end, not wanting to be in the rain, she pulls up her hood so that she and Krillix are covered again.
Nice. So we're gonna jump back to Warren, who I kind of cheesed and didn't let him move. So you can easily make it within your 30 feet to inside the tree.
All right. Actually, I wasn't going to ask so much about the move, but Warren, I mean, this is where they were telling him to go, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Does he have a sense of why? Does he
Insight.
get the sense that like insight? Okay.
You can roll with yeah, you can roll with advantage. You'd probably put it together by now.
That's what I'm assuming, but
Sure.
So you obviously sense that it's to get your material, get back to your material body.
right.
And then with this insight, though, you would also sense, because you're probably having that like almost killjoy at this point, where it's like, why would I ever go back when I can just infinitely blast off spells here and basically be a god? And it's while you think this that you're standing in front of Octavius. And there's a claw mark across his face, right where the dryad scratched you. And a wound across his back where you also were struck in. And it's at that moment, as you look at your friend, kind of walk up behind him to inspect that scratch, that you just feel truly old. Like the killjoy just kind of washes over you, and it's like you're looking back at old memories. You almost don't recognize Octavius for a second.
Warren hesitates for a moment. Not so much that he wants to stay here, because he does, given this power that he has. And he does feel the sense of guilt, something Warren does not feel. This whole idea of this man somehow taking his blows or putting himself in danger for Warren has put him back. He don't quite understand why somebody would do this. And the fact that he never owes anybody anything. He don't believe in owing anybody. And he has plenty of debts. But the fact that Octavius saved his life, he almost has that anger that, he's almost forced to somehow pay this man back. And it's not something he can just write off and forget about. So he'll hesitate for a few moments as he looks at these other things that are, I'm assuming there's more and more of these Forsaken coming, and the place is just kind of starting to get overrun a bit.
Yep.
And the Lord of the Hunt, as he's battling on, urging him to go. He'll do so. You can see this frown on his face, this sparkle in his eye of pure anger as he'll step through, whatever this tree type thing is.
You step into it and you see what could only be described as this like blinding light. And in the center of it, you instantly, as you step in, realize that you're now barefoot for some reason. And as you step, there's this warm, welcoming water like a comfy bath. And you just can't help but feel this urge that you need to just get in this water and wash off all this dirt and whatnot that's not necessarily on you, but you just feel like you need to get in there. And as you look, you can just barely make out what you can only describe as a beautiful angel, a woman. And she's just holding out her hand and just says, "Warren, hurry, come to me."
He'll do so. I was, again, not happy, clearly, but
you grab onto the hand.
That last look over his shoulder.
The warmth is instantly washed away. You didn't even necessarily realize that you felt it, but it's like something was just ripped from you. Your very clothes and something is just ripped off, and you're suddenly back and cold, and all these vibrant colors fade away to a dull. And as you open your eyes kind of come to, and a woman made of essentially stone, much like the corrupted ones that you were just facing, only a much more welcoming face, is cradling you. You're in this water and it's not warm, it's cold. You look around and it's raining and mucky outside, and you see your friends, or your party at least, standing out there battling. You see Octavius carrying some pretty significant wounds. And it's at that point that I'm going to let Livy and Octavius, one turn each, describe how they finish off the last couple of stone people. Livy, you're up first. And on mute.
Damn. There. All right. Bleh. So Livy, being feeling proud with her, pulled off the spell, but then in her moment of distraction, being hit, just kind of stumbles a few steps forward before turning on her heels real quick, and then like someone throwing like women's softball where they just kind of round their arm around a shield, just quickly, boom, like a blink of an eye, just this another electric chromatic orb, boom, out and
Absolutely. You don't even have to roll. You just obliterate the group of elves that are there, the stone elves, obviously, not the friendly ones. You look over in Octavius. You just get a sense that things are going to be all right, and you look behind, and you can actually see that Warrendell has come to consciousness as the last remaining stone orcs are coming towards you. Two of them. Go ahead and describe what you do to finish them off.
Octavius would turn, see Warren, a smile across his face, and he would turn back, weak, to the point where he would have to he wouldn't drop to a knee or anything, but he would have to almost hold a hand out so that he didn't hit the ground. He would lift his head up, and with his last level 1 spell slot, he will throw out his last thunder wave, and he will shatter the stone within these orcs to a powder. And at one point, one orc is almost completely a stone orc, and basically, like, its left eye and the 10% of skin around its eye are the only things basically still human, and those are the only things that don't shatter. And it kind of looks at Octavius with a look of relief just in the eyeball itself, and then it falls down with the rest of it, and the two orcs are just disintegrated.
Beautiful. The battlefield kind of comes to a silence. And we're going to kind of wrap it up quick here so that we can send Mary to bed because she's a trooper and staying up for us. So quickly, the battle comes to an end. And as you all kind of gather yourself, you look and there's just rubble everywhere from these orcs and elves that are infected trying to attack. You look back and you see Warren kind of pulling himself out of the pool. And he looks like a kind of an angry wet cat, I imagine. Just not impressed that he is all wet and cold. As you run in and kind of everyone, I'll let you guys do that at least. What does everyone say when they see Warren finally back at her?
Nothing. I would just nod and just barely pay attention to him. Glad that he's alive and tend to my own wounds.
Nice. And does Warren have anything to say?
Well, no. Sunny definitely has something to say. She'd walk right up to him and she'd look at him to see if her wish came true. If he seems a little softer, if he seems a little bit less abrasive, if he's gonna be writing penises on people's faces, you know what I mean? Like, does he seem like the same Warren? Or does it look like he was reborn? I would like to roll insight to see if that, to see if he can, see a difference in him. Do you mind if I do that?
Yep, go ahead, and Warren, you can obviously say whatever you want to Sonny.
Okay.
Yeah, give me just a second.
Which might give him an inkling.
Yeah, I rolled a 23.
All right, I'm going to leave that up to you, Warren.
So as you come up to him, Sonny, give him a look over, sopping wet, his clothes are soaked. As he pulls himself from this pool, he'll look at you, kind of his head down a little bit, just kind of glaring under his brow at you. He'll kind of reach out, putting his hand on your shoulder for a moment. You get that sense that maybe he wants to clap you on the shoulder or thank you or something, but instead he just kind of uses you as a crutch to pull himself out of this pool. Looks at you for just a moment before shoving you aside, and stares at Octavius across the room as he kind of walks over to you, Octavius.
All right, can I interject just real quick?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, right as you push him away, she kind of puts her hand on your face like I did when you were in Octavius's arms, and gives you that little love tap to remember, because to see if you remember that from before. Now I know that you felt that there, but Sonny doesn't. You know what I mean? And she just gives you that little thing and goes, "Nope, it's the same one." And then you push her out of the way.
Yeah, he looks at you with almost, like that sense of recognition or whatever. And you can see like a small little twitch at the corner of his mouth. Not really happy. More of an annoyance. As he makes his way across, he'll walk past Livy, anybody else in there. And he looks down at you, Octavius, and says, I know what you did. And I've never, ever owed a man anything that I've had to repay. And with that, he'll just slug you across the jaw.
I love it.
I take it straight. You have a little spit, turn back to him and said, I was repaid by my lord when I was born. Thanks.
With that, he'll imagine that he'd probably just kind of sit there on the ground and pretty much pass out at the moment. So
Perfect. And as time kind of settles down and you guys kind of, sorry, does someone want to say something?
I was like, I think Livy might like kind of meander over to Sunny, like, remind me never to do a favor for him. Just like,
As I was telling him when we were walking, and a non role played conversation, he's just a mean little spiteful awful man.
And
But
as time,
cheese drugs, you know what I mean?
oof, that's good. That's good for you. I'll tell you what that means in a little bit. But as time kind of goes by and you kind of gather yourself, if anyone has any hit dice that they want to spend for a short rest, we can say that happens. But Erin kind of comes in, Livy, and you go through the formalities of actually meeting Fayetta, and they explain how everything happened, that basically they've moved here and that he's been coming for years and visiting her as she grows older. And basically he's lived much longer than he's really cared to tell anybody, because obviously that would draw suspect to why he's living for so long. And then as everyone's kind of getting ready to grow, he's like, okay, well, Livy, remember, the most important thing is make sure you do not leave before high harvest tide, because if you go out on an adventure, then you'll surely bring a long winter. So I want you guys all to help the city of Nightstone rebuild. And these elves are going to need a place to stay. So maybe it's time that the Nightstonians, once and for all, make peace with these elves, because their home is now ruined and the elves helped save them. So I think it's time that maybe we get that in order. And then from there, Livy, I want you to, do you remember Harshnag?
yeah, the stone giant, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I want you to find him.
Oh, okay.
I want you all to find him. He looks to you all. Me and Fayetta have sensed this. The balance of the world it's off right now. These orcs attacking like this isn't normal. This is something else. There's something out there that threatens the balance, and it's been thrown off. The giants attacking Nightstone, the runes that they left, this means something. Something is coming. And I think that you all have been gathered together to figure out what it is. If anyone's going to know why the giants are going berserk and randomly attacking towns, that I know, Harshnag would be the one that knows. Now,
Right.
I don't really know where Harshnag is. I haven't talked to him in over a century.
Yeah.
But I do know that artist Simber has kept in contact with him. Now, artist, or Simber, you remember him, right? The guy with the ring, fabulous stories. I heard that he settled down, of all people, him, settled down in Bryn Shanders. And I even heard that he's had a son. Simber having a son. That's something that I truly wish I could see, but I don't think I'm going to get to. But if you find him, he'll know where Harshnag is. And I think that Harshnag will know what's going on. Can I trust you to do this, Livy? Can I trust all of you?
Yes, certainly. And she'll kind of look at you. It's like, it would be an honor to have you guys join me.
He looks to you, Octavius, as kind of like the leader of this group, actually, strangely enough.
Octavius would just look up and say, "That's not exactly what we had in store. But if something greater is going on, then I would like to get to the bottom of it." And he would look to Warrendale and to Sunlit and say, "You're free to make your own decisions, but I will go along with Livy and find out what is happening."
Feyda kind of chimes in and says that be assured that something else is going on. These weird tides of change are just the beginnings, and we're all caught up in something grander, something dark, something lurking behind the scenes, looking to shift the balance of the world. And if they get too far, whatever they are, then the balance might never be restored. This forest, for a chance, it's going to take everything to reset it. What say you all? Octavius is in. Livy is in. What about you, Warren? What about you, Sonny?
Warren will just look over at Sunny, waiting to hear what she says.
So hey, gambler, are you gonna gamble the rest of this life? Because I'm in. It's this little lady here. I think she holds the key to much more than even us tabaxi. You know, we understand. Because if this plague, because it's not a poison, and she pulls off her hood again and reaches up and massages the top of Relix's head, because he could tell it's not a poison here. It's something different. And if it's here, that means that could reach Mazteca. And if it reaches Mazteca, I will never be able to live with myself. I'm here with you, Livy, and you, Octavius, and get the hell off the floor, Warrendale, because you're reborn. I don't know where you went, but you're here now. Join us. And stop being such a dick all the time.
Warren will kind of glare across the way at you. His eyes scan over. He frowns a little bit. But she does offer a bit of a smile when he looks at Livy. She says, I suppose.
Have you?
Damn right it's win.
So good.
On the note of the stone stuff not being caused from poison, Livy would. Grandfather, do you think this could be the works of the dragon or something else? Because the stone did animate.
He smiles and kind of puts his hand towards your chin or whatever. Sorry, I'm getting an echo from somebody. Hold on a second. Hello? Who is it? I think it might be you, Mary. Yeah, okay. He puts his hand to your chin and he says, "You always were so incredibly smart, Livy. I don't know if that's what it is, but I think that'll be a great story to tell your friends. And I know for a fact that you and these people are going to get to the bottom of it, and you're going to tell wonderful stories, and you're going to have wonderful stories just like I did, probably even better. But I think it's time now, my child, that we say goodbye. I don't have long. If me and Feyda are going to fix this, then it's now." And then he looks at you and says, "I've lived a grand life, and all my grand stories must have an ending eventually. I'm as old as an elf, and that's just ridiculous. I don't want to grow to be as dour as one. And I've always thought that it's best to go out on a high note." And literally, You can't get much higher of a note than this. Fayetta has given me a life that I could never have imagined, and now it's my turn to return the favor. I'm sorry, let me read what you said. They're filled with potential. Blah, blah, blah. Perfect.
He's just kind of just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and the one thing that happens though is that in the middle of Livy's back, because I was standing right next to her, she feels a push and she is launched forward towards Fayella and her grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
and a wonderful embrace happens.
Yep.
Because she falls into them, and that was my little thing that I wanted to do.
Absolutely.
So
And
next.
as they kind of start to embrace you, Fayetta grabs onto Aaron's shoulder, and they kind of hug each other, and you're kind of there, and you start to see her fingers start to grow like this twigs, and they start to wrap around Aaron's arm, and then connect to the ground, and then these twigs start to grow around him and her. And he smiles at you, and he says, Livy, remember me and smile, because I'd rather you forget than ever think of me and be sad. Go on and tell your stories. This is the beginning, and I know they're going to be great, and I can't wait to hear them when I see you next. And he's slowly going to start basically becoming part of the tree with her and Fayetta. If there's anything you want to say to him, now's your chance.
Octavius, in the meantime, is going to look over at Warren, roll his eyes, and give him a little wink.
Perfect.
Yeah, no.
And-
Let me just watches and it's like, I will. And when he says, remember me, I can't wait to hear your stories. And yeah. It's like funny because like in my head I'm like, man, I can't wait till this game ends because I know exactly what she's gonna do. She's gonna come back here and she's gonna be like sitting down, just talking to these trees, telling them about the grand adventures that they can't respond to. But
Perfect. The last thing he kind of says to you is to, if you don't say anything, is that not to forget that there's always a good and goodbye. And when you share a love for someone, there's no such thing as separation. Goodbyes are only for your eyes, and I'll always be in your heart, Livy. And that's kind of the last thing he says as he turns into a tree. And
Awesome, bro.
you just see the ground that was once kind of stagnant and gross become a little bit more fertile. Ron kind of comes up to you and says that your grandfather was a truly great man. And as much as I hate to admit it, he was like a brother to me. The forest will grow again because of him and Fayetta's sacrifice, but it's going to take time. I think he was right. I think of all things, we have to go to Nightstone and work out a peace. Because if the orcs and the giants are like this, then us, as humans, as men and women, we need to unite and stand against whatever is lurking in the darkness.
Indeed.
We will help you find this piece.
Common
I
enemy.
think it might be me in the darkness because I'm sunlit in the darkness. And she puts out her paw to shake his hand.
Nice. And you guys kind of all do the group kind of the group thing where you all put your hands
No,
on
like,
each other.
okay, guys, this is what fourth grade used to do. Hands in, okay? On the count of three, we'll say hurrah. 1, 2, 3, hurrah.
Yeah, no, Sonny'd absolutely do it.
Does Octavius do it?
Because she's like, what?
Octavius would do it, but if Warren did it, he'd look for his rings when we were done.
Yeah. Oh, hell no. What if I make it to my selfie too?
Warren, as you're kind of like standing with the group, you feel this itching in your shirt, and as you reach in, you pluck out a couple feathers. And you could have swore that your shoes are a little tighter than they were before when you last had them. Like your big toe is just jammed in there.
Does he
As-
look slightly taller?
Uh,
No, I'll look over. My pants were tighter when I left.
as for the roll, the time that passed for you was months at a time. What this is going to mean will be yet to come.
Okay.
But essentially, how many spells did you spend?
I had 3 shatters, which are level 2, so 3 level 2s and a level 1.
Level 2 puts it at 5, and then that's essentially 30 months passed for your soul.
Wow.
So you're technically, but not technically, 2 years older. And that might have an effect to it. The other cool thing, though, is as you are feeling this kind of strange ache, it's not your bones or your joints. You just feel more grumpy or fed up with it than normal. You also feel quite a bit stronger, though, as you tense your hands and kind of channel your energy. Going across the Feywild gave you a permanent +1 to your spellcasting ability and saves.
What?
So, like, +1 to my charisma.
Nope, just do it to your attack to hit. I think there's a way to do that, and your DC. I can enter that in manually. It doesn't actually improve your charisma per se.
Okay. Yeah, however you do that, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll do that for you. But anyways, it's late. I promised Mary that we wouldn't go over the hour, and we did. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're going to end it. I think that's a pretty good place to end it on. And yeah, we are pretty much officially out of the intro, and the game has officially begun. And like we titled the episode, the game and the group, the party, has finally joined their beginnings, and we had to say goodbye to somebody. Beginnings and goodbye. See you guys later.
Hi, guys.